Hi, my CV world. It's Lindsay here with another video. I'm really excited because we're going to be talking all about recruiting today, and we have Alysia here, who's the new CooperVision senior recruiter. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I already said you are our senior recruiter,
Yes.
but how long have you been here?
So I've been here for almost 3 months now. Starting here, I've done a little bit of time at Victor and Scottsville. Going on 3 months already.
Wow, I can't believe it's been so long.
Yeah.
And what are your initial thoughts? Good so far? I mean,
Yes.
You're just getting your feet into the water, so.
Yeah, I came at a fun time because we just implemented our new system, my Cooper Recruit, so a lot of it has been around that and kind of figuring out the system and making sure it's working correctly and finding ways to be most efficient. So.
And I'm sure there was some challenges, ups and downs, but that's how you just kind of get in
Yeah.
here and start learning. Well, welcome for those
Thank
3
you.
months you've been here. First, I'd like to get to know a little bit about you. If we can just talk about your career path and why you chose recruiting as a career.
Yeah. So I love getting asked this question because it's a kind of a funny answer, and I feel like you'll find that in HR, but by accident.
Really?
People, yeah. I actually went to school for psychology.
Oh my gosh, completely different.
Yeah. I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist, and then I was taking some industrial psychology classes, which is all about the employee's mentality in the workplace and kind of the psychology of the employee. And I actually thought it was really interesting. I liked it a lot, even things like ergonomics and stuff. So I ended up kind of going towards that in college. I took some HR classes, and then I was working for Wegmans at the time, part-time, and they had an internship program, so they had an internship in staffing, and that's kind of how I fell into it.
Yeah. You after that internship, you were like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that I could really make a career out of.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the people I worked with. I worked in the distribution and warehouse, recruiting there in corporate, so it was a good experience, and here I am.
So you're no stranger to distribution then.
No, not at all.
So how long did you work at Wegmans?
Total, probably about 7 years.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Mostly in the stores, and then that internship was 6 months, I think. And then I got a job at Rochester Regional Health as a recruiter. So I was there for almost 4 years. And then I worked at the Genesee Brewery for 3.5 years as a recruiter there, also in packaging and distribution. And then I had a position as an HR generalist, and now I'm here.
Wow. So it seems like you have recruiting plus HR in your blood and you didn't know.
Yeah, I guess
so.
so.
You started going down the line.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really cool. And that's so funny. Like you said, it was by accident. You weren't
Yeah.
looking for it, but it just, the opportunity grows itself.
Yeah.
So awesome. So what brought you to CooperVision?
Yeah, so I mean, I've heard from people before that CooperVision is a great company to work for. I've known people who have worked here and currently work here, and they say great things. The previous companies I've worked for, and when I'm looking for a new position, I look for the mission and the values of the company. So what do they bring to the community? What do they bring to the world? What is their business, and what does it contribute to the world? And so I just loved CooperVision's mission and values and their purpose, and so that ultimately kind of drew me to the company.
Did you know anything about CooperVision prior to applying?
I did, yeah. My cousin actually worked in sales
Oh, okay.
here previously. She moved, but otherwise she said she probably would still be here. But yeah, so I've been familiar with CooperVision, and I've always heard it's a great company to work for.
Well, good. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So when you speak to potential new employees about CooperVision, what do you say about the company?
Yeah. So typically I start off with Cooper companies as a whole, what we do, CVI and CSI, what we do, what we contribute to the world. And then I kind of go into where their role fits into that. What would you be contributing to that bigger picture? And then I talk to them about the different facilities in Rochester, some of the growth opportunities. I talk to them about the community aspect here, some of the different initiatives that we have, and again, potential for growth, whether it's LinkedIn Learning or some of the ERGs that they can participate in. I just kind of talk about the whole experience as an employee.
That's really nice. It's a I don't want to say a good selling point because we're not trying to force people to come over, but it's good to educate. I feel like so blindly when you're online and you're applying for jobs, most people don't research the company. They're just saying, "Oh, these are attractive pay. This is attractive hours." So
Right.
you and your team really taking the time to explain about the company, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that. So I want to know, in your personal opinion, why do you feel that CooperVision is a great place to work?
Yeah.
In your 3 months that you have been here, can you answer that?
So overall, kind of going off the same thing, the general culture, the opportunities, with the expansion and everything else that I've seen, Cooper is very willing to invest not only in like the day-to-day operations, but in growth and development of employees. And I think there's tons of opportunities for people. Like I said, whether it's LinkedIn Learning, whether it's just participating in some of the groups and community events. I think that really kind of ties into making the employee experience what it is and making it so great.
Yeah. And it's nice that you recognize that, and you've only been here for a few months. So as you know, obviously working in recruiting, that a lot of employees start at CooperVision, and it could be based on employee recommendation. Now, we do have the lovely, attractive referral bonus that we get for recommending someone. But my question is, say if I was interested and wanted someone to come work at CooperVision, what things should I consider before suggesting that my friend or a family member apply to work here?
Yeah, so I would consider what the job actually is, whether, if the employee's already in that role, they know what it is and they know what to expect, and they can communicate that to the person that they are referring. If they're not in that role or they don't know too much about it, they can, recommend that they ask questions, do some research on the company, look at the job description a little bit more. But they can also tell them about the overall Cooper experience and what to expect. I keep saying this, but there's tons of opportunities for people here, and if people take advantage of it, I think that's something that employees should tell people that they're referring. If you work hard and you come to work every day and you identify with the job that you're doing and how it impacts the company, you can go far in the company, and if you take advantage of those opportunities.
Do you also think that people should be honest to their recommendee and saying, it is hot, there is not air conditioning, you are going to be working 12 hours, 10 hours overtime? Do you think that's also maybe important to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Being realistic about the position is definitely important. That's something that me as the recruiter, I'll talk about. The hiring manager or supervisor will talk about that, but it definitely means more coming from someone that is referring someone that they know, and being honest about that, because we don't want people to be surprised when they get here and it's not what they expected.
Yeah. Has that ever happened where maybe you called upon a referral and they're like, oh, they didn't tell me this very important information that I'd be working nights or something like that?
Honestly, it's only been 3 months, so no, I haven't come across that actually. It seems like employees are very open about what the position is. I'll go through my spiel, I guess, about what the company is, what you'll be doing in the position, and typically their response is, oh yeah, I know.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I do think employees do a great job of really giving an accurate picture.
So it's good to be transparent on both sides, both the person who's recommending as well as from a recruiting standpoint.
Yeah.
So another question for you is, what is the average time, if possible, or you could give us a breakdown from the application to the orientation of that new individual coming in?
Yeah, so it depends on the position realistically. Typically when we have a position posted, we give it 1 to 2 weeks to get a full applicant pool and to really evaluate candidates. In that time, we're also talking to the hiring manager to set expectations, make sure we're on the same page with what they're looking for, what that hiring process is. And then myself, Grace, or Stacy, when she's back, we will be reviewing applications. We will be talking to the hiring manager about who we would recommend. At that point, talent acquisition typically does phone interviews to talk to the candidate about the basics, the logistics of the position, their experience, and kind of give them a general idea of what the position is. And then depending on the candidate pool, that's when we would start interviewing with the hiring managers and supervisors. So up to that point, that could be 2 to 3 weeks typically. If there is an offer, and again, this depends on the position as far as some of the packaging or distribution positions, it's a set rate of pay. We know what we're going to offer. So it's a little bit smoother to get through that offer process. But there are some other positions that we have to talk about compensation. We have to talk about some of the other logistics before we put together and extend an offer.
Yeah. So the time really varies.
Yeah.
So, so word of advice, I guess, for someone who may be recommending someone to come on board is, it's not going to happen within 24 hours or 48 hours. So just use patience. Yes. They could always check in with someone in your team, like, hey, did you receive this application? But doesn't mean that it's Monday and they're going to start next Monday.
Correct. Yes.
In most cases.
Yeah, and we right now are doing orientation every other week. So once they get an offer and they accept an offer, they do have to go through a pre-employment process as well. So they have to, again, depending on the position, background check, drug test, and physical. And once they clear that process, then they would attend one of our orientations. But those are scheduled every other week. So again, it depends on kind of
the timing
of all of
position.
it. Yeah. So I would say typically about 6 weeks.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you. So do you have any, I know you've been here for 3 months and you've obviously been really busy with the launch of the new website and all that, but do you have any strategies on how you plan to recruit new employees and most importantly, ensure that they stay here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we've talked about as a team, and as we try to make TA, talent acquisition, a center of excellence. We definitely have strategies. Here, starting at West Henrietta, we are trying to start by streamlining the talent acquisition process. So things like intake calls when a position is posted, so that we as TA and the hiring manager were on the same page before we get too far into the process and realize that we're not on the same page. And then like interview guides and interview templates, making sure that, like you mentioned before, the candidate's getting a true, accurate picture of what the job will be, and there won't be any surprises when they start in the position. So making sure that the interviews are thorough, they're honest and transparent. So again, when they come on, they're more likely to stay because they know what to expect. Overall, my goal, and I've heard this a lot, even in the 3 months that I've been here, is that CooperVision is Rochester's best kept secret. And I'd really like to get away from that, honestly. I would like to get CooperVision to be an employer of choice and a company that people think of when they're looking for a job. And so there are some initiatives and strategies that we're trying to do to kind of get the CooperVision name out there a little bit more, whether it's attending career fairs or sponsoring different job postings or events, and just being a little bit more publicized as an employer and as an employer of choice. So that's a huge goal of mine in this position. It's surprising to hear that because I've heard of CooperVision, but it's kind of surprising that
not a lot of people. I think more people hear about our competitor Bausch and Lomb, maybe in the news. They're always recruiting. They're always at fairs. I see it on LinkedIn. I see it on Glassdoor. I mean, I see it everywhere. But it's true. You really don't see a lot of CooperVision postings and CooperVision things like that.
Yeah. So I definitely like to get away from that and start to be a little bit more public like that.
Now, I know we used to go to job fairs, and I think you've just kind of mentioned that is that something you still continue to plan to do, whether you're visiting, schools as students get ready to decide what they're planning to do with their life, or attending those in-person job fairs still?
Yeah, I mean both, depending on some of the positions that we have open at the time or that we know are going to be coming up soon. Definitely connecting with schools in the area that would be a good fit for this, whether it's high schools or whether it's colleges. Local job fairs, absolutely. But just things like advertising on social media. And I see on my Facebook and my LinkedIn all the time, like Channel 13 is always posting like companies in Rochester that are hiring and why they're a great company. So initiatives like that I think are important.
Maybe we can get you on the news.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh, come on. We'll get you set up with Matt Malloy. You
Yeah.
can have a one-on-one interview about why CooperVision's great. Maybe that'll attract the people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think, so you obviously had experience recruiting for Wegmans Warehouse the area. So do you think that recruiting for a warehouse type environment is difficult in some cases?
In some cases, I do think that there is a good population in the Rochester area that has that experience. There are a lot of companies in Rochester in that industry. And I think with the recent pay increases, it's made it a lot easier and a lot more attractive for people to come here.
For sure.
So yes, in some ways it's a little bit more difficult, but I think the Rochester market is great for actually this industry.
There's a lot of different types of warehouse and, a lot of optics type places, and so hopefully, we start getting more people as we hopefully fill up our new building once we get the occupancy with more people and make it not Rochester's best kept secret.
Yeah, exactly.
So one question, something normally happens here is when someone decides to leave the company, the employee will do an exit interview with someone from HR or sometimes their manager, depending on circumstances. Do you currently have any plan to take that data as to why someone said that they were leaving and see if you can make any changes and be impactful with those reasonings?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a strategy that I've used in the past and something that I would like to and plan to use here, especially when, sometimes people leave and it's just unavoidable circumstances,
Right.
If they're moving or whatever the case may be. But for those times where maybe it is a trend or maybe it's a reason that's happening more often, looking into that and digging a little bit deeper, I would love to get that information. Is it something that we're not communicating up front in the recruitment process? Is it something that's maybe changed in the position? Is it maybe a skill set that we weren't targeting when we were recruiting that really is important for that position that maybe we need to kind of shift what we're looking for? So I think those exit interviews are very important to look at those trends and to see if there's anything that we can do to improve, even as a recruitment process, but as a company, I'm sure that feedback is important to always improve.
For sure. Do you feel that since we're mostly direct hire now, that makes us more attractive to potential candidates?
Absolutely. I think people like that stability, especially in this world, the way it is now. So that stability and that consistency, I think, is huge for people. They know that they're getting benefits. And I think kind of culturally wise, it's nicer to come on as an employee of the company versus an agency. You feel like a part of the company and part of the team a little bit more. So I think that's that huge step as far as recruitment.
Yeah, and also I know a lot of people don't tend to put their roots down into things if it's only a temporary thing. Right, you're not going to put all your energy, you're not going to want to learn all these things and invest a lot of their time if there's no, potentially that they'll be staying.
Right.
So I think that's really nice. I remember, so I started back in 2007 as a temp to hire.
Yeah.
And it was a 6-month waiting period. And it was gave me horrible anxiety all 6 months of my life because it was like, are they happy with my performance?
Yeah.
Am I going to be staying? Should I be looking for another job? Just all the unknowns, not having the health benefits that they do now have when they're hired, direct.
Right.
And all those were big factors for me if I was going to stay with the company. Now, luckily, 16 years later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But, I can understand and sympathize with the people who are just, temp. Going to temp jobs and stuff, you really just don't know. But you can put your roots here, you can make a career out of being a CooperVision employee.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's exciting. My last question for you, if anyone has any questions on, recruiting or referrals, who can they go to?
So yeah, I'm always available. You can reach out to me. Grace is on our team, and Stacy will be back next week. So any of us are available. If anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer anything that we can.
Awesome. Well, we hope we get a lot of your guys' referrals to fill up some of these spots. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us an inside look at your recruiting experience and some exciting things that you have planned to make us the non-best kept secret in Rochester. I love that. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.